Hey, what's going on to my sassy strategic leaders? That sassy female CEO, coach, consultant, or service provider. It's day 32, y'all. It is day 32, and I'm excited about this day. I've got a special edition for you, one that I usually will, of course, pre record. There's no mystery, no secret. I let you know when I'm pre recording for you for our strategic leadership mastery series. Y'all, day 32 is special to me because it speaks to something that I really truly believe we need to pay attention to. And that is us literally going beyond the transactions. As you can see, our topic title today is all about Beyond Transactions, the Strategic Leaders Client Blueprint for day 32 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. This is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady, over at one of my favorite places, and y'all know what it is. It's letstalkstrategies.com, where I work with those female CEOs. They're generally 6 and 7 figure female CEO, coaches, consultants, or service professionals or providers. I work with them to go from overwhelmed in their business to putting that thing on rinse and repeat, right? It's not like flowing as a business owner and not being all over the place. I'm extremely excited that you decided to join me on this 32nd day of our 61-day journey. And we are going to map this thing out into the end of the year because I'm looking forward to helping you, along with myself, go from that sense and staying from that sense of overwhelm to literally taking our business to the next level. Because it's about that. We're going to take 2023 out with a bang and bring 2024 in a lot of now in a more prosperous way. Now, I do want to give you a quick reminder, as you've been seeing as we go daily, there is an opportunity for you all to hang out, not just with me, but with other successful female CEOs. If you are looking for a place of accountability, a group to hang out with other like-minded women that are in the same type of profession that you're in, coach, consultant, or service professional, join us over in the Get Your Sass On community. And you could become a member by going to GYSO community.letstalkstrategies.com. Again, GYSO community.letstalkstrategies.com. Let's go ahead, y'all. Let's get ready to jump into this awesome topic. Again, as I mentioned, our topic today is a special one because we're going to get into the nitty gritty of something that's not just essential, but in my opinion, it is downright critical in the world that we live in as business owners. It's all about mastering that client relationships. It is extremely important as leaders. So I want to paint a picture for you. Picture this: you're gearing up for a game changing client presentation. The stakes are high, and amidst the chaos of deadlines and project intricacies, of course, maintaining a solid client relationship isn't just a box to check. Y'all, it's the secret sauce. So today, we're going to jump into a story that highlights how effective client management isn't just a skill, it's the lifeblood of lasting partnerships and relationships, in my opinion. So let's get down to the business of some practical tips that I believe one should use, female CEOs, coaches, and consultants, service providers should use in order to maintain and have that effective client management, flowing through their business. Tip number one is all about having clear communications. Y'all know that's important. I'm sure you've heard the saying, communications is key, but let's take it a step further. It's not just about talking, it's much more than that. It's about setting the expectations right from the get go. I believe in that. We're not even playing with it. I'm talking about establishing a communications protocol. So I'm going to give you an example of what that could look like, right? So there's this project that I was working on, and the client and I had different ideas. You know that comes up, right? We had different ideas about regular updates, how we were going to communicate and what that actually meant. To them, it was a daily rundown. And y'all know sometimes I don't have time for that. Some of us do, some of us don't. For me, my business model, I don't have time for that. But they wanted a regular daily rundown. For me, it was more about a weekly rundown. The confusion that took place led to a lot of unnecessary stress. But I realized something in the midst of all of this, that the magic of setting some sort of communications protocol was extremely important. So I scheduled a meeting and we sat down. We defined what regular updates meant, right? How often we needed to have them and through which channels we were going to do it. I had to go ahead and make this thing happen. And guess what? It turned around because now we met, we got clarity. I made sure she had clarity. I had clarity on her expectations and her needs. And it turned around. We not only went away from that daily check-in, because to me, daily check-ins for the project that we were on, it didn't make sense. We needed to be able to see some things more on a weekly basis. We got past that part and everything became clear, and we got more concise updates, but that came down to us communicating, right? Now, for me and that client, communications became a breeze, and both of us, both parties, me, the consultant, and her, the client, were a lot more happier. But I had to address the communications piece. I could not operate in fear, wondering if they were going to get frustrated, because I'm here to provide a service, but I'm also a business owner. So I had to set a level of expectations, and I needed to make sure I addressed her expectations. Now, tip number 2. Here we are. I just spoke about it. I said set expectations. Expectation setting. It is so important. Make sure that you set clear expectations. Lay everything out. Outline that roadmap for the project. That needs to be extremely clear, because you'll find yourself jumping over doing other things that was not outlined in that project, other things that you possibly should have been charging them, which now you're going down the wrong path. So make sure that you set clear expectations. Make sure that you lay out that roadmap for that particular project, right? Make sure you define the project scope, whatever the milestones are, and the outcomes up front. Why do you need to do this? It's going to save you from the headaches later on. It's extremely important. So let me give you yet another example of something that I experienced. Picture this. You're about to dive into a coaching engagement. So this lends to my coaches, because of course I'm a coach and a consultant. You're diving into a coaching engagement and without a clear roadmap. Sounds familiar for some of you all? I've done it, been guilty of it. When you do this, it's like you're driving blindfolded because you don't know which way you're going and everybody's unclear. By clearly defining the coaching objectives, this is extremely important, the expected client commitment, because there's a level of commitment you as a coach that you should be expecting from that client, and the milestones to gauge your progress. You're not just setting expectations. You're truly, I think, creating some sort of structured path, right? When you do all of this, suddenly, voila, there's clarity, not just for you, but for the client. There's clarity on both sides. Why does this need to take place? It takes place because it reduces misunderstandings and it creates more of what I consider a smoother journey for both you and the client. So you don't need to walk out here blind, the blind leading the blind. You're coaching them because there's some blind spots. But if you do not start out with a clear roadmap, you are driving blindfolded and you are walking into a for sure problem, a for sure accident, right? Because I said driving blindfold, right? So make sure that you clearly define the coaching objectives, the expected client commitment, outline your expectations, the milestones, and how you guys are, going to gauge your progress. This is going to help you in the long run, and it's going to benefit not just you, it's going to benefit the client. They're going to know that you know what you're doing, and they're going to take you seriously, and they're going to show up to do what it is that they need to do. But you truly need to not drive blindfolded. You need to have a roadmap, a clear step-by-step roadmap as to what it is you're going to be providing and what it is you expect, and make sure that you're clear on their expectations. Now, let's talk about tip number 3, and that is something that a lot of us are still struggling with as it pertains to just being a successful female CEO, and that is utilizing technology. Listen, you got to utilize some technology. That's the only way, in my opinion, that you can go beyond just a transaction and be the strategic leader that I know you are, and to create any type of blueprint. Y'all, we need some technology, and you got to utilize it, right? Technology is, in my opinion, your best friend, especially when it comes to managing your client data, client projects, whatever it is. And one way that you can do it is to make sure that if you don't have one, go ahead and get a CRM system in place, right? I like to say that CRM systems are like superheroes for consultants and coaches and service providers, right? I want to give you an example of what a CRM can do and how life could be going without one. So we're juggling multiple clients without a CRM. What does that look like? Chaos. Houston, we got a fire. Everybody's frustrated. You're irritated. You're trying to deal with this client, then you got this client over there, and it's just chaotic, right? But when you have the right type of system in place, a CRM, you can track your client interactions. You can set reminders for what? Those follow-ups. I kind of talked about that yesterday, and the last couple of days I've been hitting on that. And now, because you have a CRM system and you can look at the interactions, set those reminders for follow-ups, you can also analyze the data so that you can tailor your services much better. You can analyze where they are. You can look at the pain points, the pitfalls, the things that are not flowing well if you're a coach, so that you can better assist them and better serve them. If you're a consultant for corporations, you definitely need to have some sort of system in place that you can analyze so that you can stay on track and you can make sure that you're hitting the goals that you desire to hit for your client, and making sure that you're hitting the goals and meeting the expectation of the client. So look at it like this. A CRM is like your personal assistant that ensures that no client falls through the cracks. I don't see how you or anyone can deal or run a business without a CRM, in my opinion, right? And you got to understand, it's not just about, using a CRM to organize things, because a lot of us kind of get caught up in that. For me, having a good, well-oiled, established CRM allows me to maximize my efficiency, right? And it also allows me to create a more seamless experience for my clients. So I encourage you, if you don't have a CRM system in place, jump on tip number 3 for sure. I want you to jump on all of the other tips as well, but you need a CRM so that you can truly stop the juggling act, right? And have more of a seamless type roadmap laid out for you, that successful business owner, and to be able to allow that smooth, seamless type experience for your client or customer, whatever you decide to call her, right? Now, tip number 4 is back down to something we've been talking about a whole lot as well, which is feedback loops, feedbacks. So feedback loops in a nutshell. I need you to understand, feedback situations or things that you set up to get feedback, it's not just a formality, in my opinion. I think the art of receiving feedback from people will help you positively be able to address certain situations, right? So I'm open for feedback. I'm open for, I don't think you did that right, or I like how this flowed. I'm going to ask you, how can I do things better? It sets the pace for a positive environment. So even when you have the uh-ohs, because you're going to have the uh-ohs, they know that you're human because they're human. And the fact that you give them that opportunity to give you some feedback, they feel good about it. They They feel comfortable, they feel safe, and they know that you're going to handle it if you do run into certain set situations, right? I just think it's extremely important. So, I've got another example for you. I had a client who seemed to be a bit reserved. She was nice, when I say was, she's not my client anymore. But, she was a bit reserved. She was kind of a calm type person. I mean, I thought all was good. She really didn't offer a lot of feedback. I had to kind of pull a lot of stuff out of her, right? But in the midst of me speaking with her and going through certain situations, I learned that she was a little hesitant in expressing her true expectations. And I learned it the hard way. It was through some of our office hour sessions where I found out that I was showing up for office hours. Sometimes she would show up, sometimes she wouldn't. But during office hours, she had this thought process that I was supposed to be just totally honing in just on her. But I had several other people that I dealt with, right? But she was hesitant on expressing her true expectations in the beginning. She eventually told me what she eventually shared, what it was she thought I was supposed to be giving her, right? She didn't realize that this was a group type setting. She thought that I was supposed to give her just her that specific attention, right? But that was an error that I set up. Well, I didn't walk in an error mode because I like to show up and show out for my clients. I gave her that level of expectation to make her think that that's what it was about. AKA, we were supposed to only be there maybe an hour. I would be there an hour and 30 minutes. I would be totally just honing in and answering her questions and sometimes forgetting about the other people instead of kind of cutting it down a little bit and saying, this was a good thing. Hey, such and such, what about you? Do you have any questions? Do you have anything I can help you with? So I set the stage for things to look good and to be there for her, right? But her expectations, because of how I was serving her, led her to believe this was how it was supposed to be all the time. I created that comfortable space for her, right? And I actively sought feedback, but I had to still structure that thing, right? So, in that experience, I uncovered some critical, insights, some situations that just didn't fit well for me. And I had to remind her that if you needed more assistance, it seems like to me you're looking more for that personal VIP touch type situation. So I quickly established some things in place. Every time we would have office hours, before we would have office hours, I would send some information out, reminding them about office hours, but also letting them know if they needed one-on-one help, then they could go ahead and go on over to letstalkstrategies.com and purchase that particular service so that I can give them the undivided attention. So that was my experience, and it was an experience that I learned from, but I still needed that feedback from her. And when she gave me the feedback, I was able to give her some constructive feedback on how this services was laid out, right? Right. The input was extremely important, but it also helped me make sure that she had clarity. And now it's helped me for my future clients, future collaborations, that we're all on the same page and making sure they had clarity. So that feedback was extremely important to me. It helped me 100%, but I also had to go and I had to explain to her what it really meant, what we were doing here for office hours, that it wasn't a personal strategic session, and that if she wanted that, then she had to pay for it, right? Now, tip number 5, personalization. We need to truly understand that that is key. Personalizing your clients, y'all, isn't just a one fits all type situation, and neither should your services be. Okay, really need to truly dive into the power of personalizing things. So I want to ask you a question in the midst of me sharing this tip with you. How do you tailor your services to meet the individual client needs? If you're not doing it, you need to consider doing that. Each client is different. I shared recently how I have a voice actress, I have a consultant, a DEI, diversity inclusivity, type client, consultant, and another coaching type person. I have several different types of clients that I deal with. They're still all female CEOs. And Believe it or not, each of them, even though I'm providing strategy sessions, taking them from strategy to implementation and helping them get clarity and all of the above, and creating SOPs and a systematic approach for them to create that, to have that business growth. Each of these particular females are different. Their businesses are different and how they move is differently. There's different. So I had to literally personalize how I deal with them, my services. There's a standard shell, but then I still had to address things differently. Now, when we're in group settings, I do an overall thing, but when I speak to them individually, I had to personalize that thing. I'm encouraging you to do that if you hadn't done it already. Now, for I believe, final tip, I need you to understand the importance, especially as we go beyond just a transaction, the strategic leaders client blueprint. We need to be proactive problem solvers, right? So, tip number 6, proactive problem resolution, right? We need to look for those foreseen issues or unforeseen issues before they become a full blown problem. It's kind of sum up what I dealt with when I spoke about me having that open line of communications, receiving feedback from the person. I now look ahead of the ball game for the type of services that I offer. Get in front of it so that things won't blow up and get all crazy. I literally do. I'm proactive about it. I'm proactive about addressing any challenges. And I figure out good ways with God's help on ways that I can navigate through that slippery slope or that tricky situation. And I've been learning how to do it like a pro. First and foremost, I'm straight up honest about what my services are, how I can do different things. And I openly tell them, feel free to purchase an additional session that's outside of that project's realm if need be. This allows me to still be able to serve them the right way. It allows them to be able to get what they need to have, and me not hate providing the service for them because I allowed them to trick me into something, or I allowed myself to go down a slippery slope, right? So I need you to be proactive, be a proactive problem solver, right? We got to get ahead of that. You really need to do that. You really do need to do that. If you implement or practice these tips that I gave you and go back and listen to the examples that I gave you, believe it or not, those are the situations and the issues that I ran into, right? And I don't want you to run into them. So I'm very transparent about showing you or giving you some examples or advice on the things that I've gone through and what I've done to take myself to the next level and to go beyond just a transaction, y'all, and to be more of a strategic leader. So I've set out a blueprint that best suits my needs as a consultant, as a coach, as a service provider. And I'm encouraging you to do just that. Now that we've unraveled some of my secrets, some of the pain points that I struggled with, and now how I have gone on to master my client relationship, it's time for you to put these insights into action yourself. I want you to listen back through what I've shared, right? And ask yourself the question, are you struggling in these areas? Have you experienced some of these same situations? And if you don't mind, share it with us in the comments section. But now remember, if you are that female CEO that doesn't necessarily like doing that, go on over to Get Your Set to the Get Your Sass on membership site, right? Host it over there on Facebook for now. If you're not a member, you can become a member by going to GYSO community.letstalkstrategies.com. We'd love to have you over there. We'd love to have you over there. We really, truly would. Now, I also want to make sure that when you get over into the community, if it's easier for you to go over there and leave your comments or ask questions, make sure that you literally put or use the hashtag. Which hashtag do I want to use today? Use the hashtag beyond transactions, right? Use that hashtag. I'd love for you to tell us how you're dealing with it. Also, share with us the steps that you're taking to map out a roadmap so that you can be that strategic leader and that you are truly giving yourself the checkup from the neck up, and that you're going beyond just a transaction. They're not just a number. Yeah, you're making money from it, but you want to keep them around. That's sustainable growth, right? So you need to, if you don't have these things in place, if you don't have anything in place that'll help you go beyond just a transaction, and something that's helping you, that successful female CEO, be that strategic leader, we need you to go ahead and create a client blueprint that will help you do just that. Okay. Now, your homework is to do a client relationship assessment. Okay. Take a moment and reflect on your current client management practices. If you don't have one, we got a problem and we need to get that adjusted or fixed, adjusted. How do you currently handle your communications? Have you set any expectations? If you haven't, do it. And for God's sake, please utilize technology to do it. This is not something that you need to be doing on a one-off basis, okay? Or a manual basis. This stuff needs to be automated, okay? So implement a plan. Make sure that it is practical, right? Y'all know how I am about that. And the best way to do that right now, in my opinion, so you won't overwhelm yourself, choose at least one of these things that I talked about, right? Look at it, see if you're doing it. If you're not, map out a plan, right? Consider how this is going to line up with your overall business goals, and make sure that you take action on it. It's time to take action on it. I'm looking forward to you all joining me on tomorrow. Y'all know what day it is, right? Tomorrow's going to be day 33 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. And I am always looking forward to sharing whatever it is that God tells me I need to share as it pertains to helping you, that successful female CEO, be more strategic in her business, stand up and be the leader that she needs to be, and master whatever skill she needs to master so she can have that sustainability in her business, so that she can have that business growth that I know she desires to have. Well, all right, y'all. This is Danette Moss, business systems and implementation strategist, aka the strategy lady, over at Let's Talk Strategies, home of what? Y'all, it's home of the SaaS Factor, where I help those female CEOs go from overwhelming their business to putting it on rinse and repeat. I do this using my 4-step framework: simplify, automate, systematize, and streamline your business. I love helping you get your SaaS on in your business. Thanks so much for joining me here for yet another, what I consider successful, y'all, because this is day 30, day 32. I've been showing up. Thanks for joining me for another segment of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. Woo! I'm hanging in there, and I appreciate you for hanging in there with me. Make sure you join me again for day 33 for yet another segment. You all have a wonderful rest of evening. Bye for now.